What's up, guys? This is Ken with Bettor Culture. Today I'm going to be talking to you about some beginner tips that most people will never tell you about, and that's because these are not commonly known. So let's start off with number one, and that is don't ever buy picks from somebody that says they are the GOAT. Basically, everybody who says they are the GOAT of sports betting, they call themselves the GOAT, do not ever buy a pick from them. And I'm just gonna give you an example. Do you ever hear like LeBron James, or did you hear Kobe Bryant? Did they ever call themselves the GOAT? Does Michael Jordan? Maybe Michael Jordan did, but in reality, if you know you are the greatest of all time, you don't have to go around saying that you are the greatest of all time. The real people who are the greatest, the best at their craft, they're humble enough to know that that they don't have to say that, right? They may know it, but when it comes to sports betting, everybody knows that you win and you lose. And every real professional sports bettor would never call themselves the GOAT. Billy Walters never called himself the GOAT. And I'm sure that's because he knows that he has losses too. And these guys who talk about that they are the GOAT of sports betting, the GOAT, they're the greatest, you'll see this so many times, especially on social media and all over here on YouTube. These guys are calling themselves the GOAT. They just post videos about how much money they win. And the reality is they're trying to sell you some great package that just really won't pan out. And that's, if you see them with a lot of money, that's because they're making money from you, not making money from the plays that they win. So keep in mind, if they're calling themselves the GOAT, they're not actually the GOAT. I don't even know if there's a such thing as a GOAT of sports betting, because everybody is up and down. But in order for you to actually become great at sports betting, you have to have a long career in sports betting. And a lot of these guys who are on YouTube and stuff like that calling themselves the GOAT, maybe they had a great run, maybe they had a 10-team parlay and now they're calling themselves a GOAT. No, that's not how it works. And maybe they just got lucky. So don't ever buy your plays from these guys. They're only looking to scam you. You're only gonna get barely any winners, and you're just going to keep paying them for nothing. Okay, that's beginner tip number one. I learned that when I used to buy plays from all these people online. During that time, there was no such thing as a GOAT, but they were constantly selling their expensive packages, and I learned a lot that you really have to see their history to really know if they're actually good at sports betting. Unfortunately, one of the ways to do that is you have to buy their package. But when I did that with a lot of these guys, this was back then, I did it with a lot of guys, so you can't really know too much about them besides what they say about themselves online. But what I do know for sure nowadays, if you're calling yourself a GOAT, you're not really a GOAT of sports betting. You're only doing great marketing. So keep that in mind. Now, tip number two is everybody knows that, everybody says that parlays are not what you should be doing when it comes to becoming new at sports betting. And, that's what a lot of new sports bettors do, right? But the question is why? Maybe you don't understand why doing parlays is not advantageous to you. Everybody's looking for that big payout. what they do on a lot of sports betting marketing is talk about, oh, this guy put down $10 to win $200,000 and he hit it. You know, that's great marketing. That is something that sports books want you to see. They want you to believe that this is easy, that it's being done so many times. But the reality is, why do parlays suck in reality? Now, let's just think about this, especially when you are new in sports betting. And this does not apply. There was somebody that commented in the past that they win with parlays, and he's been betting for probably over 30 years. There's a difference there. Somebody who's new at sports betting versus somebody who's been playing for over 30 years, they have some knowledge in sports betting that newbies don't. And what they've figured out is an edge. And as a new sports bettor, you do not yet have an edge. And so when you are trying to bet, you are betting, let's say, 3-team parlays, 4-team parlays, and you're trying to predict the outcome of all those games and get it all right. Let's say it's 3-team, 4-team, right? So how many times can you be right 4 times in a row? It's actually very difficult. It can be done, yes, but over time, in the long run, if you keep doing that, it's very difficult. If you can get to a point where you're hitting at a higher percentage, you know, like most people are not hitting over 50% of their bets, right? Straight bets I'm talking about. So like if you're starting to get on a good, you figured out an edge in the book and you can take advantage and you're hitting at a higher percentage on your straight bets, now maybe you are ready to start doing parlays. But until then, you know, a parlay is just not designed for you to beat it in the long run. That's literally why sportsbooks market it. They want you to fall prey to the parlay, right? So don't do it. That's just common knowledge when it comes to beginning sports betting. When you are a bit more seasoned, or if you figured out some edge, yeah, you can start doing 2-team parlays. I even see 3-team parlays, but over that is usually very difficult to accomplish. But one good one is not necessarily a parlay, but a teaser. You get a bunch of points when you do teasers, but we'll save that for another video. The last beginner's tip that I would like to talk about that most people don't talk about when it comes to beginner tips is that 98%, and this is just a random high percentage number, it's not actual, but very close, is that 98%, 99% of sports bettors who give their sports betting record are liars. They are not actually winning at that rate that they tell you. You know, if you were to guesstimate how much you've won or lost in, let's say, poker in your lifetime, I'm sure you're not going to give the real value of how much you've actually lost. You're going to inflate that number. And a lot of these guys, they don't actually track their history, their record. If they did, they would be pretty disappointed. And I know this because back in the day, in 2015, 2016, I created an app that tracked sports bettors. I had over 4,000 users. They would put in all their plays on our website and it would track all their plays. Nowadays, there's websites like that track people's plays. And one thing that I realized is that when I started tracking everybody's, basically this was the public, right? You can consider these guys the public. And when I started tracking all their plays, they were definitely not hitting at a high percentage rate. Everybody was losing, and some people would go on great months. Some people would go on great weeks. But overall, in the long term, as they continued to play, you should have seen their bankroll was just very negative, and that was across the board. That's something that, that I'm sure they didn't even realize was going on with their own bankroll if they were doing that thing in real life. Luckily, my website was just for fun money, and it was for tracking. But it's designed to track all your bets and track your money, which most sports bettors aren't doing. So when you look at guys that are talking about what their record is and how they're doing, they might tell you that they're 32-16, but that doesn't tell you how much money they've won or lost. Sometimes if you're not good at sports betting, or like maybe you're taking minus 250, right? Maybe you're down this week, so you lowered your unit size, and and whatever, those kind of things can happen, and you just weren't consistent with your gameplay. So most non-professional guys will play like that, and that's just not a great way to tell if they're a winner, So don't believe the hype. When you see a guy saying that he's winning this and winning that and he's all this greatness, it's not true. That's the hard facts about sports betting. Sports betting is very, very difficult, and there are only a few people in the world that can beat this game. I'm not a person that is one to figure out which play to bet on and that type of stuff. Those people are called traders or originators. The traders and originators, they work for sports books, creating the opening line and start moving the line depending on what the sharps are doing. And when it comes to sharps, there's only very few that are real originators creating their own lines, and it takes real math, real knowledge of the sport, real knowledge of data to actually create a proper line that can beat the book. These guys who are saying that they're the GOAT or giving you some random thing, they're not using real data. They're not giving you the truth about sports betting. They want you to believe that they just got it like that, which if some people got it like that, then that sports betting wouldn't exist, because how can that actually be, right? So when it comes to if you're new into sports betting, I was somebody that would buy picks from these kind of guys. And that was one thing that I wish I knew who to buy from, who not to buy from. So, that's why I say don't buy from people who say they're the GOAT. Don't buy from people who are not actually tracking their plays. And the last tip was just don't do parlays, and it's because if you can't beat the line by yourself on straight bets across, like consistently, then it's way hard to do it on a parlay. But my name is Ken from Bettor Culture. So if you are looking to get picks, I have a partner that I've partnered up with for over 10 years. I get his plays all the time, and over the long run, we are winners together. So if you want those plays, I'm gonna put a link down below in the description. This is Ken with Bettor Culture. I thank you guys for watching.